All right, everyone. Welcome, friends and family, and thank you guys for joining us this afternoon. I'm so grateful that we all have the opportunity to listen to Logan share his musical talent with all of us. He's truly the most talented person I've ever met, and I am so immensely proud of him. He has several pieces prepared for us today, and he's going to briefly pause between sets so that Mrs. Diane Blanchard can briefly mention the composers of the pieces. So without further ado, let's begin.
and Blanchard. The first set of pieces that Logan played were in chronological order according to the musical history period that their composers were in. Mozart, an Austrian composer, one of the greatest composers of keyboard music, is placed in the middle of the classical period. Excuse me. He studied with Haydn and was taught the music of Bach and the preceding Baroque period. Mozart learned about counterpoint, a Baroque style of composition that is literally point against point or note against note. This style consists of two or more melodies that are woven throughout the piece horizontally. Mozart began writing in a new, really revolutionary style of composing, where he had a prominent melody line together with an underlying less prominent accompaniment of chords. Each new music history period saw new styles of composition. The instruments also changed or developed. The Baroque keyboard instruments were the harpsichord and the clavichord. By Mozart's time, the forte piano had been developed. This early version of the piano allowed musicians to change the volume of the notes they played with the touch of a key. It allowed them to sustain notes and play in a smooth legato style. The music of the classical period was beautiful, but was composed in a very rigid, very structured form, almost like a formula. Mozart is one of the most significant composers of this style. Next, we heard Beethoven, a German composer. He was 14 years younger than Mozart. It is said that he traveled to Vienna to play for Mozart. Mozart was typically unimpressed with musicians of his day. His musical talent and abilities couldn't be matched by his peers. But when he heard Beethoven play, he said, "Keep your eyes on him. Someday, he'll give the world something to talk about." Beethoven further developed the music of the classical period. His pianos were stronger, more capable of producing forceful sounds, more modern. He therefore could explore a wider dynamic range. I don't know if he designed them or just played on them, but some of the pianos had extra keys on both ends of the keyboard. Beethoven eventually went deaf, probably due to a contagious disease he contracted as a child. Was this why his music became more dramatic? We do know that he wrestled terribly with the thought of going deaf. Beethoven was considered the most influential composer of the late classical period. He's also considered the first great keyboard composer of the Romantic period. Chopin. Chopin's music, the epitome of the style of the Romantic period. This period of composers rejected the rigid structures of the classical style. Romantic period music reflects emotions and feelings. They paint sound pictures. And we'll hear more about Chopin in the next break. Chopin, who was born in Poland, composed polonaises, mazurkas, waltzes, nocturnes, ballades, and etudes. Several of these types of compositions are dances. The polonaise was a dance written for the upper class. The mazurka was for the common people. Both of these dances he wrote specifically for his Poland. The waltzes were also dance pieces. You'll hear 3 different ones today. The nocturne is a composition that is inspired by the night. The signature style of Chopin consists of beautiful right-hand melodies with running notes or chords in the left hand. Chopin used more free-flowing rhythms than previous composers, creating complex passages and heightening the emotional content. Chopin was a very shy person and expressed himself through his music. It is said that he actually performed in the dark. Musicians and musicologists work to understand what motivates a composer to compose in their unique style. Chopin left Poland at the age of 20. 1 month later was the Polish uprising. For most of Chopin's adult life, he missed his homeland and felt the pain of strife of his people. He couldn't get back home. Is this the reason for the depth of emotion that Chopin compositions are written with? Or was it his health? He was sick most of his adult life with tuberculosis. Was this the reason for his musical outpouring of emotion? Or maybe it was his unsuccessful love life. He was unable to continue the relationship with the one true love of his life. Logan's last nocturne, to me, represents a complete picture of Chopin. He could see beauty. This is evident in the unsurpassed beauty of his glorious melodic lines. But he begins this piece with the melody starting on a weak beat. This, as the technical left hand marches on in time. The singing melancholy melody brings to mind the following quote: Chopin has discovered how to give the piano a soul. Every sound goes straight to the heart. Listening to him, one feels suspended somewhere between heaven and earth. After this first section that Logan will play, the piece transforms into a calm and peace, almost church-like, a time for contemplation. In the next section, Chopin combines the beautiful singing melody with agitative rhythms of triplets, sets of notes, 3 per beat. The piece becomes more dramatic, then comes what we call the reprise, and Chopin settles down the violence of the triplets, with the melody still prominent, but accompanied by quieter but still agitated triplets. Finally, the resolution. Chopin moves calmly toward the end with single notes and then a complete silence, ending with 3 quiet, contemplative chords that you all will hear.
makes me cry. When Logan first talked about doing recital, I'm like, buddy, all by yourself? Who are you going to invite? He said, well, Mom, you know, my fan base. Okay. Well, so you guys are now officially Logan's fan base. But he's quietly unassuming, and we're super proud of him. So thank you so much for coming this afternoon and listening to him. And that piece just kills me, that last one. I don't know about y'all, I put some tissues out in some of the rows for you. But Logan started with Miss Jackie at Tiller Schools, his first music education teacher. He was in band at Beaufort Middle with Joe McCreary, who has now retired, and he's the music director here at this beautiful church. And he's now been in band with Ashley Wright, and Ashley, I'm sorry, 4 years of Logan is a lot. But he's done a lot of different things, and then, of course, studying under Miss Diane, who we found for him, particularly for him. We even interviewed her for him 8 years ago, and she's put up with Logan and his ups and downs and his piano study, and he's done a beautiful job, and we really appreciate you very much. Thank you for coming this afternoon.